your fender's going one way and your front wheel's going the other. You see, like right there, that's where his front fender messed up. You see, he lost his balance.
Bars are crooked, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but,
that front wheel is twisted in the fork clamps. The bars, if you line up the bars straight, it looks like the front wheel is facing to the right. Okay, so he has to compensate. And in those situations, when you pull back on the bike, you have to mentally remember that the front wheel is twisted and not be even with the bars. Okay, and that's a tough way to ride Supercross. This is the toughest track of the year, let alone with the bike damage.
Absolutely.
Back to the battle for
Here we
third.
go.
This is Reed on the one, catching Kevin Windham on the Geico Power Sports number 14, the Iron Man that we were talking about. Now, Ricky, size up Kevin Windham for us. How do you get around him?
Yeah, you just have to set him up. You know, Kevin's a very good rider, very smooth, and you have to set it up early. I was looking at the lap times, and J-Law is 109, and Reed is 109, so Reed really not chipping into that lead like you probably want to, but we haven't even crested halfway.
Yeah, we haven't passed the halfway, and what's interesting, Chad Reed being very patient right now. He's riding very smart. What he cannot afford to do is get sucked into another rider's line. Okay, even though he's came up on the back of Windham, he has to use different lines, not take a mouthful of this black sand here. Okay, and he has to keep his momentum going. He doesn't want to get to Windham, let's say, and get stalled out with that forward momentum that he has. Because Jason Lawrence is still 9.3 seconds out front over Alessi. It's another about 4 seconds back to Reed.
Reed and Windham, remember last year, and that epic battle here in the mud, where Windham was able to take the win when Reed's bike stalled on him and sunk to the bottom. Tonight, Reed trying to get around him, not for the win, but for another point and some incredibly important points in this championship fight. And he's inching closer.
Reed needs to get by Windham to try to win this thing. Absolutely. You know, enough's enough.
Here we go, into the whoops. Reed, very fast through here. To the next single jump.
He's going to set him up
right
here. And you know, look at Windham gave him room. He gave him room. He knew he can't run with Chad and let him go. That's why it's always so important to be good to guys when you're passing them and not be a jerk and stuff, because you're going to need a favor.
Well,
that's another point for the championship.
150 starts. Windham has plenty of experience. He has lots of respect for Chad Reed also, so they're going to race as hard as they can, but nothing dirty.
Jason Lawrence has a big lead, but things have not been smooth for the rider on the 338. Watch this.
Watch this. He comes here. He triples into this thing. Comes up a little short there and just really almost jumps past that when he jumps off of that step up in there. You got to think that we're on the lap 9 of 20. You take this thing to the 15th lap, 16th lap. Does the nerves start to come into play for J-Law? Or does the wild child, is he just immune to nerves and anything that's going on? He's just absolutely loving life going for it.
Yeah, I think he's just loving life going for it. And that's why I think it's so important for Reed to start putting in some laps, because oh, look, J-Law hits the rails.
The top block.
Might be a little fatigue sitting there. We'll see what happens. We got to watch him, yeah.
Well, what is the toughest part about riding one of these big 450s as opposed to the bike he's riding in the 250 class? How difficult is that?
More power, heavier. The thing reacts a lot more.
And Reed starting to close in on his teammate, Michael Alessi, on the Rockstar Makita Suzuki number 800, who made the podium a week ago in Indianapolis with a third. Right now, if he can hold on for second, that would be a career best.
And watch Reed's riding style right now. He absolutely has the flow. He's just crafting lines on the track, just very methodically working through right here. So patient. He's at a 109 right now, lap time.
So where is James Stewart? He's catching Heath Voss and gets around him. That puts him up into 11th. Guys, he's making the move up through the pack as well. We're halfway, 10 laps remaining. Stewart, this is the thing about James. You hate to see the guy struggle, but it's so impressive to watch him come from dead last through the field. He is incredible.
Absolutely. The guy is putting in some serious lap times.
Well, and now Reed is closing all over his teammate. Look at this, to the whoops. There he goes. Blitzes right by for second place.
Now the race is on. Now the pressure is going to start to mount. It's not Alessi there, who Lawrence was running faster than. Now it's Chad Reed.
Whole different
win this thing. Yeah, so, you know, Reed knows that he can win this thing, take the glory and all of that, and maximize the points. And whatever happens with Stewart in the championship, that's out of his control. What is in his control is this main event.
Now, the signboards in the mechanic area, how key is that going to be right now? Because the mechanics can tell these guys. Lawrence now finds out it's Reed behind it. And Reed also finds out he's closing in for not just second place, but for the win now.
Well, this is a huge mental boost. I'm sorry, Rick.
No, I was going to say, Villapoto's sneaking up there, man. He's closing up on...
You're right, he's in fifth. And Wyndham is catching up on Alessi. Kevin Wyndham on the number 14.
Three-way battle for the podium spot.
Yeah,
three-way battle for the podium.
Villapoto.
Villapoto sneaking up.
So Alessi's got his hands full. He dealt with Reed. Reed went by, and now he's got a lot of pressure with Kevin Wyndham. Alessi looks over, and here comes Wyndham. He switches lines on him and takes a position away.
Man.
So Wyndham goes to third.
Wow, Wyndham is on rails right now, too. He is absolutely flying. Alessi hanging tough, but just is no match for these riders through the whoop section. And look who it is. One of his arch nemesis from the amateur racing days, Ryan Villapoto, really putting together a great main event.
Here comes Villapoto, inching his way up now to Alessi. Alessi looks over again.
Whoa.
And that's one of the things I think Alessi does wrong. He spends too much time looking back. Don't worry about who's there. Just go forward.
Absolutely, man. You got to race what's in front of you, not behind you. No doubt.
Unfortunately, it's Ryan Villapoto who's incredibly strong. Now we're going to stay with this race all the way to the checkered flag. No commercials on our speed coverage live from here in Daytona till the checkered flag falls, and we can tell you who won it.
Look at Chad Reed gained a second there on Jason Lawrence. This is a really, the last 5 or 6 laps, I think, is when you really start to fatigue. So we'll see what happens. But, man, I think Lawrence is just a good enough rider to maintain his lead.
Boy, did you see Alessi's bike really a lot of shake out of that corner, and that really kind of helped Villapoto close in.
That stuff starts to happen here at Daytona about the halfway point. Even if you're doing good, the bike's all over the place.
Boy, Alessi's fighting through this, Aaron.
He most definitely is. And you guys, this afternoon, right after first practice, I went into their rig and I spoke with Roger DeCoster, his team manager, and he was advising him to lower his entire bike by 3 millimeters. He said that way it would handle a lot better. He has been struggling in first practices lately, and he said it's going to do a whole lot of difference for him as far as weight transfer, and he needs to try to be not as aggressive with the throttle and try to handle it through the corners just a little bit better.
Well, Aaron, take a look at this. Jason Lawrence, a 1:10.3. Chad Reed, a 1:09.9. He's running quicker. Is it enough?
It may be. It's going to come down to, his physical strength, his training. And Ricky Carmichael here, you've won this race 5 times, okay? You are the rider that took training to, not only the next level, but beyond, okay? And so Ricky said it's going to come down to attrition.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, man. I was going for Reed. I thought he still had time to do it, but it's not looking good at this point. But, hey, this is Daytona Supercross. Anything can happen.
Well, look at Villapoto. Through the whoops, and Villapoto's going to get Alessi. Boy, that seems to be the hot spot to make the pass. So Villapoto now moves up to 4th.
And Ricky, you worked with Alvin Baker, your trainer, for a number of years. Definitely instrumental in the success and whatnot. He's now working with Stewart. What does he bring to the table in this situation for James as he's trying to come through the pack and work his way up here?
Well, I think, he obviously adds a little bit more to James's program, but James is so talented. He really is. And, but hey, you got to go out there and execute. And I honestly, I'm so stunned. I can't believe what happened in the first turn. It's got me mind-boggling.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure James Stewart is thinking the same thing. So if he comes out of this tonight finishing somewhere in the top 10, which is where he is right now, what does he do mentally as this tour moves on to New Orleans now?
Well, I think, he's just going to say, hey, now it's going to be a battle to the end, which it always was going to be. And, now he's at a deficit. So there's a lot of races left. He's probably not hanging. Here we go.
This is for the podium. Wow. That's for 3rd. Villapoto gets around Wyndham. The Monster Energy Kawasaki rider puts himself into a good spot tonight as he's up onto the podium if he can hang on.
I'm telling you, Villapoto let it all hang out. Once he made that pass, he went over one of those side jumps. His feet are off the pace and just fly and let it go. But how about Jason Lawrence, 338? That Monster Energy Yamaha. This is a new upstart team. Lawrence is actually the team owner. Nick Way rides on this team. Lawrence rides the West Coast Lights Division. Now he's back here riding Daytona, and he's leading the biggest Supercross of the year.
6 to go.
Look at the lap times that time, though. 2 seconds.
He just
2 seconds difference. So
2 seconds.
a 110 for Lawrence, a 108.